Kenya, the cradle of humankind, where some of the earliest humans once walked. But its past is only the beginning of what makes it one of the world's most fascinating places. Carving through the country is the Great Rift Valley, a vast geological scar stretching 6,000 kilometers from the Middle East to Mozambique. Its volcanic peaks, alkaline lakes, and highlands shape Kenya's breathtaking landscapes. But it's just the stage for something even more extraordinary: Kenya's wildlife. With over 25,000 different species, Kenya is home to some of the world's most remarkable natural spectacles. From the iconic Big Five to the Great Migration. These animals roam freely in the open grasslands, embodying the majesty of the African wilderness. The people of Kenya bring the country to life, with over 40 ethnic groups, each with its own languages and traditions. The Kikuyu are the largest ethnic group, who played a key role in the country's fight for independence. Along the coast, the Swahili people have thrived for centuries, blending African, Arab, and Persian influences in their language, music, and trade. The word safari comes from Swahili, meaning journey, and it was here that the modern safari experience was born. The Maasai Mara itself inspired Walt Disney's The Lion King, finally bringing Kenya's wilderness to audiences all around the world. This is not just a country, it's an experience, a place where the wild still rules, where cultures thrive, and where the land itself seems to breathe with life. These are the wonders of Kenya. Maasai Mara. Among the world's most iconic wildlife parks in the world, the Maasai Mara National Reserve is best known for the Great Migration, one of the largest animal migrations on Earth. Located in the vast plains of southwestern Kenya, the reserve covers 1,500 square kilometers and is home to over 1,000 different species of animals, including the mighty Big Five: lions, elephants, buffaloes, leopards, and rhinos. Every year, over 1.5 million wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles move between Serengeti and Maasai Mara in search of fresh grass. But their journey is treacherous. They must cross the Mara River, where powerful currents and lurking predators test their strength. Yet the hippos remain undisturbed, resting in the shallow waters as the chaos unfolds around them. Once used for hunting by local tribes, this land was declared a protected area in 1961 to preserve its incredible wildlife. The Maasai, known for their bright red shuka, intricate beadwork, and warrior traditions, have lived here for centuries. They pass down stories of their ancestors through song and dance, including the adumu, where warriors jump high into the air to show strength and honor their heritage. Here, every corner reveals something spectacular. A lion pride lounging in the grass, a leopard poised in the branches, or wildebeests racing across the endless savanna. Mombasa, Kenya's oldest city, was founded around the 12th century as a Swahili trading port on the Indian Ocean coast. It was a crossroads for Arab, Persian, Indian, and African traders, making it one of East Africa's most important cultural hubs. But Mombasa's history hasn't always been peaceful. As trade expanded, the city became a coveted prize, with foreign powers competing for control of its strategic port. In the old town, narrow alleys lined with Swahili, Arab, and Indian architecture tell the story of this multicultural past. Carved wooden doors, mosques, and spice markets fill the air with the scent of cloves and cardamom, transporting you back to the city's golden age of trade. Mombasa's coastline is equally captivating. White sand beaches stretch for miles, while traditional dhows sail near the old port just as they did centuries ago, connecting the city to Arabia and India. Since 2017, the Madaraka Express train has connected Mombasa to Nairobi in just 4 hours, bringing more visitors every year. Yet life here still follows the rhythm of the sea, where Swahili culture, coastal traditions, and timeless beauty come together to make Mombasa one of Kenya's most fascinating places. Tsavo National Park. Covering 22,000 square kilometers, Tsavo National Park is Kenya's largest wildlife reserve. Split into Tsavo East and Tsavo West, it's a world of vast savannas, lava flows, and rocky cliffs where wildlife roam freely. The park is famous for its red elephants, which roll in the park's red dust, giving them a unique rust-colored appearance. This behavior not only helps protect their skin from the sun and insects, but also strengthens the bond between herd members as they bathe together in dust and water holes. Lions, giraffes, and zebras thrive here, while the Galana River and Mzima Springs provide essential water sources for crocodiles and herds of buffaloes. In the late 1800s, a pair of lions known as the man-eaters of Tsavo became legendary for attacking railway workers during the construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway. Their story is one of survival and myth, still retold today. The land here holds secrets of ancient volcanic eruptions, evident in the rugged Shetani lava flow, a dark expanse of hardened lava that stretches across Tsavo West. Lake Magadi. a land of heat, dust, and endless open roads. Lake Magadi is one of Kenya's most extreme landscapes. Its mineral-rich waters shift from deep pink to milky white, creating surreal patterns across the salt-crusted surface. The lake appears almost solid under the sun, but beneath the crust, pools of steaming alkaline water bubble to the surface, attracting many flamingos. But getting here is part of the adventure. The best way to explore Lake Magadi is by motorcycle, riding across rough dirt trails that cut through dry riverbeds and rocky plains. The route passes through Maasai villages, steep hills, and remote valleys, offering both a challenge and breathtaking views. With wide open landscapes and few roads, motorcycle tours give riders the freedom to experience Magadi's raw beauty up close. Nairobi. One of the only cities in the world where you can spot a lion in the morning and sip coffee in a high-rise cafe by noon. Built on the edge of the savannah, Nairobi, Kenya's fast-growing capital, is home to over 4 million people. Yet just minutes away, giraffes graze in the open grasslands, and zebras wander along dusty roads. The city's most remarkable feature is Nairobi National Park, a 117 square kilometer stretch of wild terrain where lions, rhinos, and wildebeest roam free against a backdrop of office towers and highways. Nowhere else do skyscrapers and savanna blend so seamlessly, a rare but true crossroads of wild beauty and city life. But as Nairobi grows, the wild spaces grow smaller. Roads and buildings press closer, encroaching on the edges of the park, threatening its fragile existence. Even so, this is a city that holds on to its wild heart. Conservationists work tirelessly to protect the park, while life in the city pulses on, in buzzing markets, at roadside food stalls, and in cafes brewing some of the world's finest coffee. Kilifi, a town connected by a bridge and separated by the sea. Kilifi is split into 2 distinct worlds by its deep winding creek. On one side, fishermen set out at dawn. Markets hum with trade, and village life is shaped by the ebb and flow of the sea. On the other, golden sands stretch along the shore, framed by rocky cliffs and swaying palms. Kilifi's beaches have some of the clearest waters, shifting between turquoise and emerald, with resorts offering a quiet escape. Lined with towering baobabs and coconut trees, Kilifi moves to the slow, peaceful rhythm of the coast. Lake Elementaita. What looks like a still lake from afar comes alive with the movement of thousands of flamingos, their feathers turning the waters into a sea of pink. Nestled in Kenya's Great Rift Valley, Lake Elementaita is a small alkaline lake between Lake Nakuru and Lake Naivasha. Its name comes from the Maasai word mutaita, meaning dusty place, reflecting the dry open landscapes that surround it. Between November and April, the lake attracts up to 1 million flamingos, drawn by the spirulina algae that thrive in its mineral-rich waters. For generations, local Maasai and Kikuyu communities have watched this natural rhythm unfold, seeing the arrival of the flamingos as a sign of balance in nature. But life here is not always easy. The lake is shallow, and its waters shrink during dry seasons. When this happens, food becomes scarce, and the flamingos must move between lakes to survive. Yet no matter how much the lake changes, the flamingos always return, painting its waters pink once again. Samburu National Reserve. A land of dust, sun, and endless skies. Samburu is a wild northern landscape where survival is a constant challenge for both animals and humans. Home to the Samburu Special 5, Gravy's zebras, Somali ostriches, reticulated giraffes, Garanuks, and Besa oryx. Nowhere else offers such a distinct collection of rare species. At the heart of this arid region is the Owasso-Niro River, a lifeline that nourishes the land, drawing animals to its banks and sustaining life in an otherwise unforgiving terrain. Rising above the landscape is Mount Ololokwe, a sacred mountain for the Samburu people. Its flat summit has long been a place of spiritual significance, where elders perform prayers and ceremonies, seeking guidance from their ancestors. The mountain's towering cliffs stand as a natural monument to the deep connection between the Samburu people and their land. This is a place of contrasts, harsh, yet beautiful, remote, but rich with life. Laikipia. Once dominated by colonial ranches in the early 1900s, Laikipia stretches for 9,500 square kilometers, from the Great Rift Valley to the foothills of Mount Kenya, making it one of the largest and most ecologically diverse regions in the country. It's a land of open plains, rocky outcrops, and dense forests, shaped by rivers and seasonal waterfalls that breathe life into this otherwise arid landscape. The Owasso-Niro River cuts through the plateau, sustaining wildlife-rich water holes and feeding small farms. During the rainy season, waterfalls flow and the plains turn green. But in the dry months, the rivers shrink and survival becomes a challenge for both wildlife and local communities. Despite these struggles, Laikipia thrives as a model of community-driven conservation. Conservancies like Ol Pejeta and Lewa work with the Maasai and Samburu people to protect endangered species, such as black rhinos and African wild dogs. Within the plateau lies a towering granite outcrop, the Baboon Rock. The view from the top stretches for miles, a reminder of Laikipia's beauty. and the delicate balance that sustains it. Pejeta. One of East Africa's leading wildlife reserves, Pejeta is a model of how wildlife conservation and community efforts can thrive together. Once a colonial cattle ranch, the 90,000-acre sanctuary was transformed in the late 1980s into a refuge for endangered species. Today, Pejeta is home to the last two northern white rhinos, along with black rhinos, elephants, lions, and cheetahs. But conservation is never simple. The land must support both wildlife and people, creating a delicate balance between nature and daily survival. The Conservancy works closely with local communities to fund education, healthcare, and sustainable farming initiatives through revenue from tourism. Visitors can experience Pejeta through safari drives, guided walks, and visits to the Sweetwater's Chimpanzee Sanctuary, where the stories of the past and the present come together in this extraordinary place. Taita Hills. Part of the Eastern Arc Mountains, the Taita Hills are a lush green haven rising 2,200 meters above sea level, offering some of the most breathtaking landscapes in southeastern Kenya. The rolling hills and deep valleys have been home to the Taita people for centuries. Villages are scattered across the hillsides, where locals farm, keep bees, and weave traditional baskets. The valleys between the hills create natural corridors for wildlife and provide fertile lands where small-scale farming thrives, sustained by streams and rivers that wind through the landscape. The hills are dotted with sacred kaya forests, once used as places of refuge and prayer. Even today, these forests are carefully protected by elders, who preserve the ancient rituals and stories passed down through generations. From the summit of the tallest peak, Vuria Hill, the views stretch for miles, revealing a patchwork of forests, valleys, and distant plains. The mist drapes over the slopes, shifting with the wind, creating an almost ethereal feel. Watamu. This small Swahili town along Kenya's coast is where fishermen set out at dawn. Dhows glide across the water, and the sea provides both food and tradition. A renowned beach resort, Watamu attracts visitors with its laid-back charm, warm hospitality, and breathtaking coastal scenery. The Maasai have long visited the coast, trading goods from the interior for dried fish, salt, and coastal fabrics. Along the shore, Watamu Beach stretches with soft white sand, leading to some of the clearest waters on the coast. Shifting from deep turquoise to bright emerald, the sandbanks emerge at low tides, creating shallow lagoons where small fish dart between the rocks. Within Watamu is the Marine National Park and Reserve, home to 7 small islands scattered along the coastline. These islands form a thriving marine ecosystem, surrounded by mangroves, seagrass beds, and coral reefs. Watamu remains a place where fishermen still cast their nets. Boats drift across the horizon, and the ocean continues to sustain life. Loitokitok. At the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, Loitokitok is a market town surrounded by open plains and rolling farmland. For centuries, the Maasai have herded cattle here, preserving traditions passed down through generations. Around the town, small farms flourish, growing maize, beans, and vegetables in volcanic soil. Market days bring bursts of activity with traders selling fresh produce, beadwork, and fabrics, while elders gather beneath acacia trees to share stories. Paths outside town wind through dense forests and open grasslands, leading to hidden waterfalls and sweeping views. A gateway to Amboseli National Park. Amboseli. It appears and disappears with the seasons, a fragile lifeline for animals and people. In Amboseli, seasonal swamps and wetlands expand during the rains and vanish in the dry months, leaving behind cracked earth until the cycle begins again. The dry open plains stretch for miles, offering little refuge from the harsh sun. Zebras, hippos, and wildebeests gather at the water's edge, while a lion patiently lies in wait. The Maasai people have lived on this land for centuries. Their villages sit at the park's edge, where families tend cattle, collect water, and gather under the stars. Declared a national park in 1974, Amboseli became a vital refuge for wildlife, especially elephants. Once at risk from poaching, some of the largest elephant herds in Africa now roam freely here. Watching them bathe, graze, and cross the plains offers a rare chance to experience the wild. Just as it has been for generations under the watchful eye of Kilimanjaro. "14 Falls and Athi River." For 60 kilometers, the Athi River flows gently from its source in the Elgon Hills near Nairobi. But as it nears Thika town, the river transforms, splitting into 14 distinct streams that tumble over a rocky cliff to form the 14 Falls. The falls are wide and powerful, where 27 meters of cascading water create a natural curtain of foam as it crashes into the pools below. Standing at the edge, the ground trembles beneath your feet, and the air fills with the sound of rushing water. Yet 14 Falls is just one chapter in the river's story. The Athi River, one of Kenya's longest, flows for nearly 400 kilometers, winding through wild savannas, lush fields, and quiet reserves. It merges with the Galana River before eventually emptying into the Indian Ocean. Along the way, it sustains both people and wildlife. Elephants, hippos, and crocodiles gather at its banks, while communities like the Kamba depend on the river for fishing, farming, and traditional cleansing ceremonies. The Athi River is a river of contrasts, a source of both survival and struggle, carrying the stories of Kenya's people, landscapes, and traditions. Mount Elgon. One of East Africa's oldest extinct volcanoes, Mount Elgon is estimated to be over 24 million years old. Straddling the Kenya-Uganda border, the mountain offers multiple hiking trails, from short treks through bamboo forests to multi-day adventures across alpine moorlands. The Sabaot people have long lived on Mount Elgon's slopes, using its forests for herbal medicine, hunting, and spiritual rituals. Its most unique feature is the salt mining elephants, who venture into the Kedem caves at night to dig for salt-rich minerals, a rare behavior found nowhere else. Diani Beach. Along Kenya's southern coast, where the Indian Ocean's turquoise waters meet soft white sand, lies Diani Beach, a place where time slows down and life follows the rhythm of the sea. Stretching for 17 kilometers, the beach is bordered by palm trees and mangroves, which shelter marine life and protect the coastline. In the early morning, the beach feels untouched as traditional dhows and ngalawas glide across the water. Dhows were built for long voyages, once carrying spices, ivory, and textiles, while ngalawas, smaller and fitted with outriggers, are perfect for shallow water fishing. Fishermen set out at dawn, navigating the sea just as their families have for generations along the Swahili coast. There's a story in every boat and net, a connection to a way of life that has survived for centuries. When the tide recedes, the beach transforms. Shallow tidal pools filled with darting fish, starfish, and crabs appear. Standing in the cool, crystal-clear water feels almost magical, a brief moment when the sea reveals its secrets. Aberdare National Park. There is a place in Kenya where time feels slower, where rolling hills meet ancient forests and waterfalls cut through deep valleys. Aberdare National Park, tucked in the Central Highlands, is one of those rare places where every turn feels like a discovery. Its mountainous terrain is a mix of bamboo forests, alpine moorlands, and open clearings. It's home to Karuru Falls, Kenya's tallest waterfall, which plunges nearly 300 meters into the valley below. With over 2,000 species, wildlife moves quietly around you. Elephants, rhinos, and buffaloes are among the few who roam the forests and grasslands, while smaller creatures, like antelopes and forest hogs, quietly dart through the underbrush. The park is also a birdwatcher's paradise, with hundreds of bird species. Geese glide across the waters, and oxpeckers perch on the backs of larger animals, feeding on ticks and insects as they move together across the landscape. This land has long been considered sacred by local communities. Historically, parts of the Aberdare ranges served as sites for Kikuyu elders to perform prayers and rituals. But in Aberdare, it's not just about what you see, it's about what you feel. The cool mountain air, the rustle of leaves, the sound of waterfalls. Whether you're watching wildlife by a waterhole or driving along quiet back roads, Aberdare feels like a world apart, wild, alive, and endlessly beautiful.